Okay, good evening. Welcome to
Another 1023.
Math 1023. So, in our last project, we were playing with sums of squares. And while we were doing that, we noticed that lots of the ones that had multiple ways to do it, to write it as sums of squares, ended in a 5. So, just from memory, we had 65. Was 8 squared plus 1 squared. I think it was also something else.
7 squared plus 4 squared.
Yeah.
Okay, so 65 had 2 ways of doing it. I spent a couple days just playing around, and I found these numbers can be written as x squared plus y squared, each of them in 7 different ways.
Okay.
So, tell me some things you notice about these numbers.
Well, they all seem to be multiples of 5. So they look like they're actually multiples of 125, all of them.
Mm-hmm. So that's so they all seem to be very specific multiples of 5.
What do you mean?
Like they're all multiples of 125, and they all end in 5. I guess not really 5 to a power because you have 250 and 500 to end with. But like you have, I'd say maybe multiples of 25. You could say they are because this one's 25.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this one.
The rest of
By the way, it's possible that I wrote it down wrong, but let me check because. I can't be 100% sure that when I was copying these down, I copied them all right. What was that one?
714.
Yeah, 714.025, yeah, okay. So most of them are multiples of 125, but this one's actually kind of special.
Yep.
Okay, now what I was really interested in studying myself was whether or not I could find a number that had 7 ways to do it. And I do have to clarify that x and y are greater than 0, because you have to see like 64 could be 8 squared plus 0 squared. Mm-hmm. I just meant positive. That's what I was looking at. So what are some thoughts that how could we use these numbers maybe in some way to help us in a search for one that didn't end in a 5, or it wasn't a multiple 5 or a 0?
Well, I would say one way you could use them is to try to combine them and find sets of numbers that sets of x's and y's, is that when you combined 2 x's, like 2 different x's, and combined 2 different y's, those were still squares. Mm-hmm. So maybe try to find Pythagorean triples in here for an x and Pythagorean triples for a y.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Like, if you had a way, an x and a y that worked.
Okay.
And then you had another number with a different x and a different y that also worked.
Right.
And then you added them, and your resulting x squared plus x squared was a square, and the resulting y squared.
Okay, so maybe we could add them together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Any other ideas?
Well, let's see. So the 5s, these are all multiples of 25. So we could look for numbers that are high powers of one specific prime, because maybe those tend to be squares.
Okay, so what do you mean? Pick one of our numbers. What would you suggest we do?
Like the first one, you could try to look at their prime factorizations and see if you see anything in common.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I guess the cat votes for that, right? Yeah, we could look at the prime factorizations and see if we see anything. We've already noticed that these all are multiples of 5, but if we look at the prime factorizations, maybe we'll learn something. And we do have factor integer as an easy function to use on Mathematica. We can do that off camera.
Okay.
Who knows, maybe I've even left enough room in between to be able to write it down. I don't know, but yeah, let's do that. Let's go through write down a few prime factorizations and see if that gives us a hint.
Alright.